Welcome to another episode of Playing Injured. We have a special guest, Fred Cary, who is the CEO of IdeaPros. Fred, how are we doing today?
I am awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We were just chatting before we hit record, and you said you've been up since 3:30. And I know nobody who is listening to this podcast was up at 3:30. So I would love to hear, man. I've heard stories of folks being up, thinking about work and different things like that. Do you think it's, and I asked you, has it always been that way? You said that ever since I could remember. And I was like, man, you are one of the chosen ones. So would love to hear, man, how do you spend your time? What does that look like for you, Fred?
Well, first a little on the 3:30 part. I did go to bed early. I went to bed at 11:30. So I got a full 4 hours.
That's early, huh? 4 hours.
Yeah. So, but in any event, I think you could take that example and use it for life. When I woke up at 3:30, it was because I was thinking of something to do with business. Okay. And I knew that if I just went back to sleep, I'd wake up 3 hours later and forget all about it. So when I have something like that happen to me, I get up and I do it. I take the opportunity as it happens. And I think that's, if you can start thinking about that, not just with sleep, but with life, because timing and opportunity never match up. Opportunity is happenstance, whereas timing, you're going to get everything right in a perfect timeline. So if you let opportunities pass you by when it's not the right time for you, you're going to lose the best opportunities of your life. So get up, even if you're wide awake, when an opportunity comes by.
I love that. So I want to get into that because I think a lot of folks, they call it analysis by paralysis. You are you're overthinking things.
Yep, overthinking. You're right.
Talk about that. How can folks just start taking action instead of like overthinking things and different things like that?
The reason we do overthink is because we want to have a perfect result. And we want to cover every aspect of every element of everything we're considering so that we can know what the outcome's going to be. But the reality is we're never going to know what the outcome's going to be. We never do. Even the best plans that we make, they're all subject to the future and what happens in the future. And you cannot know that. You can't predict it. You can't prepare for it. You just have to take something that feels right, that sounds right, that is what you should be doing, and do it. And the worst case scenario is it doesn't work out quite the way you want. But even in those situations, you get a whole lot of knowledge along that journey. So the worst thing that can happen to you is you get a whole bunch of knowledge on how to have a better life. Best thing that can happen to you is the path you've chosen is the right path. The worst thing that can happen to you if you don't do anything is the same as the best thing that can happen to you. Nothing. And you don't want that, right?
Right. It's like the uncertainty. I was, the book Psycho-Cybernetics. They talked about how the only way to actually achieving anything is to take action. Either you're going to succeed or you're going to go into a direction and it's going to take you to the direction where you need to go. So you're going to find something out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. So I want to talk, and I guess I want to dig a little bit deeper into overthinking. I think entrepreneurs, a lot of folks, fear holds them back. And I was looking at, I saw an Instagram reel of yours where you talked about as a kid, it was curiosity that we saw, right? Curiosity is what kind of drove our world. And then as we get older, curiosity kind of turns into fear. Talk about that. Like, how can we start to see fear? Like, what happens? First of all, I guess what happens? Why does curiosity turn into fear? How can we get back into the mind frame of going back to curiosity?
Curiosity turns into fear after years of people telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, you're not smart enough. Fear happens when the innocence of childhood gets destroyed piece by piece by the adults around you. And then as you grow older, even further complicated by the adults around you. We're probably the perfect society of encouraging people to do anything they can in the world, but holding them down the entire trip. It's mind-boggling to me how much negativity surrounds us as we try to do things that are unusual, outside of that comfort zone that I call the quicksand zone. The curiosity of childhood is what allows kids to create so much, to learn languages fast, to think they can do anything, to start being held back. No, Johnny, you can't jump out the third floor window, which I don't recommend for anybody, but you have that type of exuberance as a child that I can do anything. And the drudgery of life as you go past 5th grade, 6th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, out of school, maybe into college, maybe starting a job, that whole reality of life that's not real at all is what we get trapped in. And then we're afraid to step out of that comfort zone. We're afraid to have the self-assurance we need to make a difference in our life. We all want incredible lives, but we're not prepared to do incredible things to get there. Like, I would ask your audience, what incredible thing did you do today that's going to lead you to that incredible life that you want? If the answer is nothing, you're not going to get there. Yeah. And so you got to replace that fear, get that kid exuberance back into you, and think that you can do anything and start doing everything.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, it's crazy. You talk about different experiences that we get, and it's almost like trauma in a way of like, you go up, you have your first sales phone call and you get rejected, or you get rejected by the girl, or whatever the case may be, or your parents told you not to do anything. And I think and I was reading, it's a book, Million Dollar Habits, Brian Tracy. He talked about different fears that we have, right? One fear, the fear of kind of getting out of your comfort zone, trying something new, right? And I know at IdeaPros, right, you work with folks who are building different businesses. How do you help folks kind of get out of their comfort zone of trying something new? What do you tell folks like that?
Yeah. So when people come to us, they're already kind of ready to, but not all the way. But the reality is you have to replace your thinking of what you believe is your comfort zone and understand that that's quicksand that's quickly turning into a hard cement foundation that you're never going to be able to walk out of. It's like the bird in the cage. If you have a bird in a cage for 2, 3, 4 years, and then you open the cage up and let them out, they don't want to leave. They don't want to go into this big, beautiful world that they can fly all around to. They'd rather stay in that cage. And if you can think of your comfort zone like that cage, that's a place that's going to keep you where you are today forever. And you got to get out of it. You have to believe you can do anything, and understand that where you are, if you wake up every morning and you're still in the same place, it's because you're not getting out of the comfort zone. You're not getting out of your cage, and you have to make those first steps. The worst case scenario, again, as you just said, is you've made it a little bit further along your journey. Staying in your comfort zone and being afraid to act, you're not going to get anywhere.
I love it. So what about this? What about the fear of what people think about you? Right?
The fear of what people think about you?
Yeah. The fear of what people say. And you keep talking, you keep saying, it's a word you keep saying, is like mental quicksand, right?
Yeah. All right. So look, if you're afraid of what people think about you, you're on the wrong planet. Because whether you're successful, whether you're not successful, whether you stay in your comfort zone, whether you become the next billionaire, people are going to talk about you. There are going to be people that hate your ass. People are going to speak badly of you, whether you get the perfect girlfriend or the one that nobody understands, or the perfect job, or you're running off in the middle of the night trying to make extra money. People will talk about you. Get used to it. And hey, the good news is if they're talking about you, that means you're doing something.
Right. So it's crazy. It's a win-win. I mean, it's a lose-lose either way. It's a win-win or lose-lose either way. So you need to focus on what you need to focus on.
That's right.
And so you talked a little bit about a vision, right? Of actually understanding what you want, right? When you need that vision to be stronger than the fears. You need that why to be stronger than your fears. How do folks start to create a vision for their lives? I think most people they haven't even taken the time to actually sit down and think about, hey, how do I create a vision for myself?
Yeah. Where I like to start everybody is in trying to find your purpose, trying to find something that you're passionate about. And if you can focus on what you're passionate about and then try to figure out how am I going to turn what I'm passionate about into a business, into my future, into my life, then you can start developing your vision for your future self with that. But here's what happens. We have this grandiose vision of what we want. In fact, tonight, I'm going to be speaking on Instagram Live at 6 p.m. Pacific, which that's going to be well past when this thing actually gets launched and out. But we're going to be speaking about that, like success. What's the real measure of success? Is it fake? Is it real? And it's the same thing with us. A lot of times our visions become very monetary. I want that great house. I want that great relationship. I want that great car. My kids are going to be perfect. And you got to instead focus more on the reality of life. Nobody's perfect, and just financial means and physical things are not what a vision is built around. How do you see yourself giving back? How do you see yourself becoming a whole person? How do you see yourself being respected by those around you? How are you going to be a guiding light for others? If you can establish a vision along those terms, then you can start marching forward towards it. The biggest thing that even when you do that, though, be mindful of this, especially with young people. The biggest problem that you guys have is you have this 10-year plan and you want to accomplish it in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. And you're going to get so fucking frustrated. Hopefully I can say fucking on the show.
You can.
You get so, okay, thanks. You get, that actually is my trademarked slogan is fuck average, be legitimate.
Yeah, I seen that.
Trademark on that.
Yeah, I saw it. I actually saw that in your office. I saw that. I was like, that's dope. I need that. I guess I can't have it since you got a trademark. So
that's right. So don't try to do a decade of your life in 1 year and don't get frustrated when it doesn't happen. Look down at the next step you have to take and take it and celebrate that next step. Celebrate the micro victories that you have along the way. That's how you're going to get closer and closer to where you want to be. And that vision starts becoming reality.
Yeah, I have some mentors in my life that say, hey, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And so a lot of people, like you said, they have this big 10-year goal trying to accomplish it in 1 year. And people don't even realize how much they can actually accomplish in a decade, right? And so
exactly.
And for young people, especially my generation, we have social media, we have this constant source of us comparing ourselves to other people going on vacations, people having the nicest clothes, the nicest cars, buying their first home, buying, their first car, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
How can we kind of block out that noise of other folks accomplishing things?
Yeah. It's funny. I was telling somebody the other day that I was thinking of starting a social media site where you could only talk about the shit that happens to you. And that's it. You go on there and see that everybody else is as messed up as we are. The people that you see on social media that have everything perfect, they don't really have everything perfect. In fact, that Lamborghini that the guy, got, he probably rented it for $2,500 for one night. So he could post it on his page. Don't buy into that stuff. And as I said, when you talk about your vision, forget the material aspects of it. The same thing when you talk about your day-to-day life. Let people brag, let people do what they want to do, and you hunker down and focus on what you do best and how you can make a difference in your own life. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to you. The you of tomorrow needs to be better than the you of today. That's the only comparison you should be doing.
100%. I love that. So, Fred, I want to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. I want folks to kind of know you and your story, because you do have a unique journey. And after learning your story, I wasn't surprised, like you being up at 3:30 this morning and only getting 4 hours of sleep. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Your story. So we'd love to hear a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey and how that started.
Yeah. And I've started about 10 different companies, and now with with IdeaPros, we have 300 companies that are under us, with entrepreneurs that are starting their own businesses that we own a piece of each of them. But where I started was when I was about 20. I was working for this guy, and I kept coming up with what I thought were really good ideas for his business. And he kept telling me, you don't know what you're talking about, kid. And then 3 months later, he'd implement what I was talking about and not give me any credit, And after the third time, I thought, that's the last time I'm going to work for anybody else. And I started my own business, and I started another one, and I started another one. If you look at the things I've been involved in, it's been music, food, e-commerce, finance, software, hardware, IT technology, software as a service. I've been all over the place. And the reason I have is that I've always been opportunistic in what I wanted to create. I'm always looking for a market that's robust and growing, but has a big gaping hole in it. Because I know if there's a market that's growing and it's big and it's not being serviced in this one area, I can go in there and service that area, and I'm gonna take market share simply because I'm providing something that I can see that people need and they're not getting. And so that's why it's taken me all over the place in all sorts of different industries, because I'm out there looking for that hole in a nice market that I can fill.
I love it. So you talked about, I was watching a video, you said at 24, you made your first million, but you lost that 1 million as well. Talk about that. First of all, how did you make your first million? Then how did you lose that first million? And then we'll talk about kind of the ups and downs of an entrepreneur. How do you handle that?
Yeah. And I think somebody had asked me when I made my first million, and I said 2 years before I lost my first million. That was in the music industry, concert promotion industry. But the reality is that success is never permanent. And you need to look at success other than financial, and again, we're going to talk about that this evening. But every entrepreneur that you see that's at the top of his or her game has been beaten about the head and body repeatedly, playing while injured, as you guys have on your podcast. It's not a smooth ride, and success is never permanent if you measure success on that financial element of it alone. I made millions, lost millions, made millions, lost millions. Right now, our company's growing so fast, we're struggling to keep up with the cash flow to support that growth. In fact, we're going to be going public here in the next few months, but there's always this cycle of pain and pleasure. And
right.
that's a part of being an entrepreneur. It's not a smooth sailing. It's not a straight line. And you just have to have the wherewithal and the determination and perseverance to keep going at it, even when the times are roughest.
Right. I love that. And so I'm glad you mentioned pain, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about handling pain. One thing I saw, you talked about acceptance. When you meet pain, frustration, sadness, whatever the case may be, acceptance. Talk about that.
Well, first, I'm going to talk about that, but I want to take a pause and clap for you, because you actually looked at a lot of my content.
Oh, 100%. I have to
That's
prepare.
Awesome.
I have to prepare.
Yeah.
I have to.
That's really awesome. Acceptance is the key to making it. We typically blame when we don't get what we want, when we're not growing as fast, when we see that others people on social media, we blame others. And when you blame others, you're staying in that quicksand that I was talking about, of your comfort zone, because you don't need to go any further if everybody else is the reason that you're where you are, and instead, if you can just choose acceptance actually empowers you, because when you accept where you are, that means you've taken control. Mm-hmm. I'm here because this is how hard I've worked. I'm where I am. It's not where I want to be, but I'm here because the things that I've done have led me here. And as soon as you can accept that, I didn't get that promotion, that other guy got the promotion, not because he's an asshole, he's friends with the boss, but because maybe he was working harder, or the company saw that he was a better choice than I am. So when you accept that, now you can take that next step, because along with acceptance comes the question, what can I do better? How can I be stronger? What things can I offer that will make me move away from where I am right now? And so acceptance is the key to all of that, because it empowers you.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the first step. And then you talk about kind of the rebound time, especially as an entrepreneur, you need to have that rebound time to get back into the game. Because a lot of times, that life can really affect business, right? Things happen in your life. And I love how you talk about acceptance. Just understanding that, and a lot of times, it's nobody's fault, not even your own fault, nobody's fault. And you just still have to accept it, because this is where the universe has laid you at the moment, right? And
exactly. Well, we have, as I said, we have 300 partners, 300 companies below us, and there's a subset of those people who just couldn't take the fact that the pandemic maybe slowed things down a little bit. Why is this happening to me? Well, there's people dying all over the damn world. Why is this happening to you? So acceptance, first of all, with the macro things that happen around the world, you can't do anything about. And you absolutely have to accept them, because you're never going to change them. You absolutely have to accept the past, because we all dwell there. Every minute we dwell in the past is a minute we've lost of our present and our future. So you got to accept those things. But certainly when you get into yourself, you got to accept where you are to be able to start moving.
Yeah, I love that. How do you handle the successes? So we talk about handling failures. I think success you said earlier, you said success is never kind of final. Success is something that you have to continue to earn and stay consistent with. What's your mindset after a win? What does that look like?
Oh yeah, you can't talk to me after a win. After a big success, I'm all full of hot air like the rest of us, right? Invincible. But you have to be really careful when you have successes, because in a business, if your success is an exit where you're getting this gigantic check, okay, well, that's a little bit more permanent. But when success is, hey, my business is doing exactly what I thought it was going to do, I'm taking market share, I'm growing fast. If you just focus on that, you're going to get your ass kicked. You have to be looking behind you. Like if you're running in towards the end zone in football and you're doing your dance 5 yards out, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody get a ball stripped out of their hand, right by the end zone, or get tackled right when they thought they were going to scoot in sideways. You got to look behind you. You got to know what's coming. You got to keep an eye on your competitors and see how they're changing to try to catch up to you. And you have to zig when they zag. You got to stay on top of that. That's why success is fleeting for a lot of people. Example, IBM could have bought Microsoft for $3 million. When Microsoft first came out, and then IBM had to completely change everything in their business. They used to be the name that you would think about when you thought of technology in any fashion.
I love that. And so still speaking on success, earlier you mentioned, you have to think about success other than money, other than just finances. Right now, I know you said you'll be talking a little bit about that tonight on Instagram Live. This podcast will probably be released after that talk. So I would love to hear a little bit about that. Success other than financial. I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's rich, he's successful, but it's so many other areas to life, right?
Yeah. My girlfriend was saying earlier today, it's amazing how many millionaires kill themselves. Success is not measured by money. Money gives you opportunity to find success, but you can find success regardless of your financial means. And you do so by doing what it is that you want to be doing. Success is measured by waking up in the morning, putting your feet on the ground and smiling, because where you want to be in your life at this moment. We're never at 20, at 30, at 40. We're never going to be at the end of that journey. In fact, I promised my kids I'd retire by the time I hit 90. It's an ongoing thing. It never stops. And so to me, success is being happy. It's as simple as that. how are you best going to be happy when you can merge your life with your work, with your social life, with your home life. If you can merge that into one beautiful painting instead of doing what people talking about balance, work and life, don't make them separate. Find what you're passionate about. Have that. What you're passionate about is your life. Incorporate that into a way that it could be making money to support that passion. That's, to me, the measure of success. What are you getting in and what are you giving back? And if those things are abundant in both directions, then you've found success.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like, you say money creates the opportunity to create success. Success is happiness. Happiness is all about merging everything together and living a life that you're actually passionate about. That's family, that's, faith, that's everything all in one ball and not necessarily separating everything, keeping it all together. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, if you tell everybody, would you love to be a multimillionaire overnight? I'm not going to say billionaire, because a billionaire, you may kill family for being a billionaire. So we're not going to go that far. But let's say be a multimillionaire overnight, and everybody just say, yeah, I could be able to get whatever I want. Like I can travel, get my car, my beautiful home, everything. Yeah, I'd rather do that. Okay, well, would you rather do that if you ended up losing the people closest to you? If you woke up all stressed out every single day by how many hours you had to work, how many fires you had to put out, would you rather have that, or would you rather be able to wake up in the morning next to the woman or man that you really love, and getting up and in this house, even if it's modest, that you're really enjoying, and doing the work that you really adore doing, even if you have to work 60, 70 hours a week? Which of those would you rather have? And so you can see pretty quickly that money doesn't equal happiness. Happiness comes from your heart, from doing the things that you want to be doing. And most people that would raise their hand on being a multimillionaire overnight would put that hand down quickly if it means you're going to lose all the things that closest to you. So from that, you can see what the most important thing is.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Well, winding down, I know we chatted a little bit about your blog, purpose driven entrepreneurship videos that you have. We'd love for you to kind of share that with the audience about what.
Yeah. Okay, I will. This is, I think everybody should, but I created it, so I think everybody should watch it. But I actually really do. And let me tell you what, I think whether you are going to be the next entrepreneur, whether you got this side gig that you want to be doing, whether you want to continue working for somebody else, the video courses that I have on purpose-driven entrepreneurship are suitable for everybody, because it's based on purpose-driven. I really get into the meaning of your life, the meaning that you need to seek, the way to find purpose in everything that you do. And it gets into the mechanics of business as well, all the critical things that you need to be thinking about to become successful. And your side hustle can end up becoming your next big thing if you go through all these courses. But even if you don't do that on the entrepreneurship level, I argue that you need to be an entrepreneur at home, in your relationships, in your friends, in your lovers, that you need to be able to look at those things the same way you would as an entrepreneur. Like, what are the characteristics of an entrepreneur? A determination, never give up, always trying to do better, find a solution. If you can do that at home, you're going to have a much happier life, even if you continue working for some big corporation. So those courses, if you go on my Instagram page, official Fred Cary, Cary, and you can see on the link tree there, the course is one of the things on there. If you use a code IG100, it's $147 for the courses that will change your life. I guarantee it. I'll give you your damn money back. I'm not making any money on it at those levels, obviously, but it's something that you take the time and learn. It's going to be a lot more than you're going to learn in business school or in Sunday school.
100%. And I can attest to this. I took a look at so many of your content on Instagram. First of all, I love how just relaxed you are. You don't overthink the content that you post at all. You just have a lot of knowledge that you share, and it's just gym after gym after gym that you share on Instagram. So I want to give you some kudos for the content that you put out. It's amazing. And I encourage everybody else to give it a follow as well. Yeah.
And by the way, it's because I'm an old fuck. I have so much knowledge. I can just talk about it without thinking about it. I really don't take any notes or anything. As I said earlier, we're going to be raising money shortly, and the marketing team gave me all these bullet points and cues to talk about, and I was lost because I turn on the camera, I sit down, I start talking. I don't know what I'm going to say ahead of time, but I think that Instagram page, it's free, and ideapros.com/blog. We have tons of free information there as well. And so dig in and have fun. And we have so much information available to us right now, like never in history. I used to have to run to the damn library and try to use the Dewey Decimal System to find a damn book I wanted on a subject. It would take forever to do it. And then you'd have to sit in there and read the damn thing because you don't have a library card. We have so much knowledge at our fingertips and we don't use it. Get off social media other than my page and just get information. There's a wealth of information in there. Take your knowledge, bring it in, and use it for good things, and you won't regret it.
Yeah, and we talk about that, like in our generation, we're drowning in information, lacking in wisdom. Right.
Oh, I love that.
So we have to, it's so much information out there to the point where most of it is probably not even helpful. And so it's like choosing the things to listen to, choosing kind of what is going to add value to your life, because there's so much out there. And I think you have a lot to add to folks. So I encourage everybody, go follow Fred on Instagram, official Fred Cary on Instagram. And then he has a lot of resources that you can go to from there. So Fred, man, you add a lot of value to my audience today, to myself as well. I got notes here that I was writing down. So I appreciate you coming on the show and adding your heart.
All right, man. Go Lakers 22.
Yes. Go Lakers.
All right, man.